This is Brother Ron, and welcome to We All Be News Radio and TV, the news-free Dixie for the 21st century. Good evening, boys and girls, scholars and laymen. Welcome to another wonderful infotainment session of the Artivist Thinks. I'm your host for the empowerment segment, Brother Ron, also known as R2, C2, H2, the Artivist. Today we're talking about why Ida B. Wells matters. Why do Ida B. Wells Barnett matters today? That's the thing. She was born July 16th. Just got through observing her 156th Life Affirmation Day. And this is important because, to paraphrase William Faulkner, the past is never past. The same things and issues and whatnot, systemic issues, questions of racism, white mediocrity, police brutality, the same issues that Ida B. Wells Barnett dealt with in her time are the same issues which are the zeitgeist or the spirit of this time. And I think it's very important that we use our platform because a lot of us are not reading. We're choosing to be not illiterate, but illiterate. We choose not to read. We choose not to feed our imaginations. We choose not to know about our roots, who we are, and where we come from. Like I tell people, the foundation of any true educational journey is knowledge of self. And you learn knowledge of self not from your school. You learn reading, writing, and arithmetic at school. You learn who you are at home. So your roots got to be very strong. You learn that from dealing with your elders. You learn that from researching your history, your story, our story. Get it? So we're going to talk about Ida B. Wells Barnett because she is the true embodiment of a ride or die chick. She was a true ride or die chick. She is my Black history, Black girl magic dream girl. There's a few sisters that I want to highlight and profile in the coming future who I think they will be phenomenal in any age. Ida B. Wells will be the bomb today. Can you imagine with her gifts of communication, how she could utilize social media, technology, and all that stuff? I mean, she was incredible. She would definitely be a superstar in this media age. Who needs a Sean King when you got an Ida B. Wells Barnett? Who needs an Angela Rye when you got an Ida B. Wells Barnett? I'm not knocking those people. I'm just saying she was the bomb. And she believed in God and guns. She believed in self-defense. She believed in self-preservation. If she got to go, she going to take something with her. That was Ida B. Wells. She only stood 5'1", but carried 2 pistols on her person while she lived in the South. While she living in the South. The dirty, dirty, dirty South. What y'all niggas know about the dirty South? What y'all niggas know about the dirty South? What y'all need to know about the dirty South is that every day or day and a half, there was a Black person being lynched or hanged, extrajudicial killings taking place. Black folks not given a chance to have a jury of their peers judge their guilt or innocence. Black folks being killed under false assumptions like rape, murder. And the real reason why they were lynching Black folks, as Ida B. Wells discovered, was not what we thought or what they were pushing. It was kind of they were using fake news for their real agenda. But we'll get into that. But let me talk about Ida B. Wells Barnett. Phenomenal sister. Born July 16th, 1862, down in Holly Springs, Mississippi. Was born into slavery, the eldest child of 8. Lost both of her parents and a brother to the yellow fever epidemic of 1878, the same yellow fever epidemic that would cause the city of Memphis to lose its charter the city of Memphis went extinct. It lost its charter for years, so a number of years, and which was actually the city was saved by another Holly Springs, Mississippi native, Robert Church Sr., who is acknowledged as the first black millionaire of the South. But he's a father of Memphis, of the modern Memphis era. He saved Memphis from annihilation and extinction when he brought back the city charter with, I guess, buying the bond, the first bond for the city. But anyway, Addie B. Wells, at the age of 16, she kept her family together. She got a job as a school teacher. She raised her 6 brothers and sisters on her own with some help from the family, but basically she was the steward of the ship of her family, which is very impressive. When you think about it, she's 16 years old. That's impressive at any age and any era that she would take responsibility for her brothers and sisters after losing both parents and her brother all in 1 year. So she went to Memphis, became a school teacher. I believe Addie B. Wells at one point was going to Rush College down in Holly Springs, but she ended up becoming a school teacher, moved to Memphis with her family. Addie B. Wells, people don't understand, Addie B. Wells was ahead of her time, or she was so much of her time. She was so much of her time that she was ahead of her time. You understand? Because 70 years before Rosa Parks, because Rosa Parks, I believe, was born in 1913, but this is 70 years before Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat on the bus. Addie B. Wells refused to give up her seat on a train in Tennessee. They had white men to drag her off the train. They had white men come on the train and drag her off. She even bit the train conductor on the hand, I believe, or somewhere, where she ripped some flesh off this devil. But anyway, she actually took it to court, won, and had got a settlement between $400 to $500 back then. It's back in the 1880s, but it was overturned by the Tennessee Supreme Court. Addie B. Wells was an interesting woman. You got to think about it. This is a young, beautiful sister in her 20s, very outspoken. She was a school teacher in Memphis. She lost her job as a school teacher in Memphis because she was too outspoken about the working and learning conditions of black folks in the school system. She saw that black teachers got paid way less than white teachers. She also saw that black students had inadequate resources, didn't have enough books or the right type of books and other resources that would help accelerate and maximize their learning potential. So she was let go by actually the black people of the school system. She got into journalism, which was rare back in the day for a woman to be respected as a journalist. This is back in the Victorian age of the 19th century. She got into that. Actually became a co-owner of her own newspaper platform, the Memphis Free Speech and Headlight, which was also rare for a woman to be able to own her own media operation or publication. So she was able to write about a lot of things, in particular the lynching. Now, Addie B. Wells-Barnett was interesting because she thought that when these lynchings were happening, when people were getting killed without having their human and civil rights recognized, these black people, she thought they were actually guilty. She thought a lot of these black men must have did something wrong for them to get this mob vigilante justice visited upon them. But what really changed her mind was back in March of 1892, when she lost 3 of her best friends who were well-known and respected black businessmen. In particular, this guy named Thomas Moss, who was a leader of the Memphis black community, who's actually well-respected and admired by both blacks and whites in the Memphis community, who had a very popular grocery store called the People's Grocery Store, which was located in a place called the Curve, which is now South Memphis. He was killed by his rivals in a system of white mediocrity because he was a successful businessman. Now we know that a lot of the black folk that were killed, as Addie B. Wells discovered, was not because they were guilty of being criminals, but they was guilty of being too successful. Like they were running for political office. A lot of people that got lynched were business owners. Let me repeat again. A lot of the black folks who were lynched were business owners. A lot of these black people were running for office. And she also found out in her discoveries that a lot of these black men accused of rape were actually in consensual relationships with white women. So a lot of these black men that people accuse of rape were actually in consensual relationships with white women. But it wasn't until her friends got killed. Because Thomas Moss, she was the godmother of Thomas Moss's daughter. So Thomas Moss, they tried to defend him and his friends, his business partners, Will Stewart and Calvin McDowell, tried to defend their grocery store against the white mob that came to try to take it from them, do their own version of eminent domain. So they shot into the crowd of white men, ended up injuring some police officers who never really truly properly identified themselves. They willingly gave themselves up, turned themselves in because they had other black men with them protecting their property. See, black folks always believe in protecting themselves with armed defense. This is before Robert F. Williams, Negroes with Guns. You had black men. You got to think about it. This is just right after the Reconstruction period. You had white terrorism that was institutionalized with the invention of the Ku Klux Klan by the Democratic Party back in 1865 or 1866 in Pulaski, Tennessee and Nashville, Tennessee. So, black folks had to protect themselves. And so, Thomas Moss, Calvin McDowell, and Will Stewart believe in armed self-defense. It's like Ida Wells just walk around Memphis with 2 pistols on her person. Because if she got to go, then they got to go too. She says better to fight injustice than to die like a rat in a trap or a dog in a trap. Something like that. Look it up. And she believed that a Winchester rifle should have a place of honor in every black home. I'm paraphrasing these things, but Ida Wells was definitely not about that turn the other cheek lifestyle, if you know what I mean. If you know what I mean. So let's do the Ida thing. Ida Wells. Okay, I'll stop that. But anyway, she lost her friends, right? They turned themselves in. Mob justice visited upon them in jail. Actually, it was conspiracy of collusion because law enforcement allowed the white man to kidnap these brothers out of jail to violate their civil and human rights. Even had white newspaper men go to the lynching site to see these men be killed. Not to intervene, not to criticize their white peers, but to actually help them in promoting the mayhem. So people don't understand, back in the day, a lot of newspapers would advertise lynchings before they happened. You had special trains running to certain locations. To lynch somebody was like, that's America's national pastime. It's not baseball. It was a huge spectacle. Sometimes you had tens of thousands of white people to lynch one black person, to see that, to torture this black person before they died. You had women and children there. You had business professionals, politicians, law enforcement officials there to validate another human being's civil and human rights and just dignity. So the newspaper man covered the lynchings of Thomas Moss, Calvin McDowell, and Will Stewart. They were horribly lynched. They were shot up and hacked to pieces and stuff like that. Thomas Moss begged for his life. He said, look, I have a son. I have a baby on the way. He had a son eventually. And he has a daughter. He has a family. He begged for his life. And they said, no. But do you have any last words? And he basically told the people assembled there, including the newspaper man, tell my people to go west. They cannot get any justice here in Memphis. So with that said, they blew him away, messed him up real bad. This is like how they did Emmett Till. This is how they did these brothers. So anyway, Ida Wells found out what happened to her friend, her good friend Thomas Moss, and his business partners, and she was devastated. Because they really rocked her world. Because now she realized that these black men were being violated not for righteous reasons, but for really horrendous ones. And so she took it upon herself to lead a 7-year, one-woman anti-lynching crusade. Now, anti-lynching law was never passed. The bill was never passed. It was constantly blocked in Congress by Southern Democrats and other enablers. So, Congress back in 2005 apologized to some black families who were victims of white terrorism and lynching. But the apologies are empty when you have anything. If you don't really have reparations behind the apologies, then they BS. Then it's just a propaganda spin thing. So getting back to Ida Wells, she had an awakening. She said, okay, they're killing black men, lynching black men and black people, not because we are criminal, because we are degenerates, but because we dare to insist that our freedoms, that our civil liberties, that our human rights, that our rights to exist, that our right to excel in all areas of human activities be respected by the system. And when we challenge the status quo, that's when they kill us. And then she told the secret how white women sought off black men. They sought these black men to have these sexual relationships with. And that really put the nail in the coffin for Ida B. Wells in Memphis. Luckily, she was out of town when the white folks destroyed her newspaper office, I believe on Bill Street. And she had a pen name of A.L.L, so I believe some of the people thought she was a man. But like I said, Ida B. Wells always kept guns on her. She believed in God and guns, all right? And she was out on the East Coast when they destroyed her newspaper office. And the white folks kick her out the South. They said she ever came back down there, they would kill her. So sometimes she would go back down south in disguises like she did in Arkansas when those sharecroppers got in trouble after the Lane race massacre. And that's another story. But Ida B. Wells was kicked out the school system by black people, and she was kicked out the South by white people. And Ida B. Wells ended up settling in Chicago, married a black lawyer who really respected this beautiful, strong, willful, powerful black woman. Like I said, she led an anti-lynching international campaign by herself for 7 years because she loved her people so much that she was willing to put her life on the line to serve her people, to protect her people, to advance the causes of her people. Another thing, Ida B. Wells was truly a trailblazer. One of the first black women in America to run for public office. I think when she was one of the first black social workers in Chicago, started one of the first black kindergarten programs in Chicago, or I guess in America, period. One of the first kindergarten programs for black people or black children in America. And one of the founding members of NAACP, the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. And also Ida B. Wells was very active in the women clubs, starting women's social clubs. These were not just like where they get together to talk about knitting and sewing and stuff like that. They actually doing some power brokering in these women clubs that Ida B. Wells helped establish among her peers. So, I mean, Ida B. Wells is a phenomenal woman. She was race first, black first. She believed in the black family. She believed in black people. She loved black men. She advocated for black men. She advocated for the black family. And it's sad in this day and age, a lot of this is missing because we do not control our media. See, Ida B. Wells knew it was very important to tell these stories that would otherwise never get told. That's why she had a media platform. That's why she understood the power of reclaiming the narrative. That's why she did what she did, because these stories had to be told, because you cannot depend on your enemy to have mercy. The devil is not qualified to give mercy. The devil is not qualified to give mercy. The devil is only qualified to give more hell. So we lost Miss Ida B. Wells March 25th, or Mrs. Ida B. Wells Barnett, March 25th, 1931. She was just 68 years young, but her legacy lives. And right now, her kin, in particular, her great-granddaughter, Michelle Duster, Sister Michelle Duster of Chicago, is trying to get a monument, a proper fitting memorial for her great-grandmother, her ancestor, the righteous ancestor, Ida B. Wells Barnett in Chicago. And currently they are raising money, and there's a lot of momentum going on. Let's Google that up. Take a look. It's all online. I met Michelle Duster a couple of times at the A.L.L conferences. The A.L.L conferences. This is the Association for the Study of African American Life and History, the organization that was founded by the great Dr. Carter G. Woodson, the father of Black history. He created Negro History Week, which turned into Black History Month. So she's a part of that organization, Ida B. Wells' great-granddaughter. So they have an efforts to raise money to build a proper monument. There is no a monument or memorial or statue to Ida B. Wells in this country. There are about 12 statues dedicated to black women in this country. I'm talking about 12 public statues, memorials dedicated to black women in America. And like Baba Dick Gregory said, two of the most powerful and strongest forces in American history is the black woman and the black church. Once again, two of the most powerful forces in American history are the black women, or is the black woman and the black church. Okay. Somewhere. See how it works? So Google that up and support those efforts to get that done, because they did create a project in Chicago, a housing project in her honor. I think Ida B. Wells' house and project back in the 40s. They tore it down, I believe, in 2002. But it's like, Ida B. Wells was more about warehousing black people and using black folks as guinea pigs, hence the name projects. But that's how they do. They bastardize our legacies. They bastardize our people's greatness. Booker T. Washington, if you think about Tuskegee, you should never think about Tuskegee syphilis experiment. It should never had happened. And had he lived, it would not have had happened. So you got to think about the person that replaced Booker T. Washington at Tuskegee was Robert Moulton. And he was U.S. Army intelligence. And I'm not making this up. Robert Moulton, the guy who replaced Booker T. Washington at Tuskegee, was U.S. intelligence. And he was basically expired. And it was the U.S. government that financed and led the Tuskegee syphilis experiment. Google that stuff up. It's all online. But anyway, Ida B. Wells, what a woman. What a champion for our people. May she never be forgotten. May her legacy continue to be amplified through the God work of the conscious woke folk in our nation and beyond. Please share the legacy of Ida B. Wells with your children. Also, a book you should read about Ida B. Wells. I believe her daughter helped finish her autobiography that she was working on. It was an unfinished autobiography. She died while she was working on it. But I think it's out there. There's a lot of great books, I believe, out there on Ida B. Wells. But check out Ida B. Wells in her own words with her Memphis diary that was edited by my good friend, the beautiful, scholarly, brilliant, insightful, thoughtful Dr. Marion DeCostas Willis. She edited the Memphis diary of Ida B. Wells. It's available online and in your nearest library and all that stuff. So check that out. But I just want y'all to hear her in her words back when she was 20-something years old, having doubts about ever being married, ever making a difference, ever finding her God work or purpose, which is interesting that a woman that's so renowned for her confidence and for her willful personality and for her resourcefulness and her ability to tell these amazing stories about the sufferings and horrors of our people, that she would have doubts about her own effectiveness and that she would have doubts about her being anybody of substance is very interesting, but shows her to be very human like a lot of us are. See, the Most High can only use imperfect vessels. If you're too perfect, the universe can't use you. See, there's like even a broke clock is right twice a day thing. But that's another story. But check out Ida B. Wells. This is my tribute to her. Ida B. Wells' great-granddaughter, Sister Michelle Duster, who I met several times before at the A.L.L National Conference. That's the Association for the Study of African American Life and History. Thoroughly liked my shirt when I was in Cincinnati last year. She immediately recognized her great-grandmother, the righteous ancestor, on my t-shirt. That t-shirt is available for $25 at teespring.com/forever_Ida_B. That's teespring.com/forever_Ida_B. And it really made my day when she recognized that and took a picture with me, as you all can see in the video. Thank you all for listening once again to the words of the artivist. If you like the words that you heard from Brother Herb, please spread the word. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, We All Be TV. Promote this among your family, networks, friends, and strangers. Please feel free to donate. Make a one-time or recurring donation to paypal.com. Email r2c2h2@gmail.com. It's tax deductible. Goes to the We All Be Group Incorporated, a 501c3 nonprofit. Or you could join my patreon.com page, We All Be. That's patreon.com/We All Be. You can make a recurring donation there and get rewards for doing so. So thank you so much, family, for listening to me once again. In the words, the great Duke Ellington, we love you madly. Keep on producing and pushing.